Hello from the Aniverse again. We are back with weekly Shonen recap, and this week we'll be covering One Piece, One Punch Man, and Jujutsu Kaisen. So we will begin with One Piece chapter 1076. Gave us some goosebumps worthy moments that'll give you an adrenaline rush for the day. Chapter picks from where it left. CPO agents request Luffy to free them so that they can help them take down the Seraphims. Luffy gladly accepts the request, and as they're deciding, S-Hawk comes charging down and reveals his Dice Devil Fruit powers. Luffy and Zoro save the CPO agents from the Seraphim's attack once again. Kaku says that they won't get anywhere like this, and they must lose the handcuffs so they can help with the fight. Before releasing them from the handcuffs, Shaka asks Lucy about the main goal here. The latter instantly say that they're making an extermination of the 7 Vegapunks, making Kaku angry because he is blurting out information. Shaka continues asking that they won't let Stussy go as she betrayed them, to which Luffy honestly responds, again making Kaku yell at him. Just then, they hear a scream from the nearby room, and it's Nami. From that, Zoro concludes that all of the 4 Seraphims must be wreaking havoc and wonders how they're supposed to protect them, including all the 7 Vegapunks. Luffy asks for the handcuffs key and taunts Lucy that once they have defeated the Seraphims, he won't go after the Vegapunks and his friends just because he cannot beat them. Zoro thinks that Lucy won't fall for this, but the latter quickly agrees to say that Luffy is at the top of his hit list and he will go for the rest of the Straw Hats after he deals with Luffy. Esper then attacks and destroys the lab as Lucy and Kaku are uncuffed. Luffy and Lucy team up to take down Esper, while the remaining 2 teams up to deal with S-Hawk. In an amazing double page, we see Luffy using his 4th gear, and Lucy transforms into his plain hybrid forms as they attack the S-Bear with a combined attack, whereas Kaku and Zoro do the combined attack on the S-Hawk. Scene cuts to deep within the lab, and we see Vegapunk and other imprisoned CP agents, and one of them reveals that they were at Egghead Island for a normal inspection, but when they were about to leave, they were attacked by the weaponized sea beasts and were brought back to the island. They thought that old man Vegapunk was behind it, but since he himself inside, they figured there has to be someone else. Vegapunk is himself surprised, thinking that everything has been happening under his nose, and apologizes. He realizes that a traitor is the one leaking to the world government about the research for the road phonoglyph. Nearby Egghead Island, we see Marines taking on the radio that they have over 100 ships reaching Egghead Island. Scene then shifts to a small bar near the coast where Shanks and his pirate mates are seen drinking inside the bar. A giant kid asks Shanks if he can go with him on their ship, but Shanks refuses him, mirroring his interaction with Luffy in the series' first episode. The bartender tells the kid to give it up when suddenly Shanks is informed that the kid pirates are approaching Elbaf in his large fleet. The red-hair pirates then discuss Kid's arrival, with Ben Beckham commenting on how their enemy must be angry. Meanwhile, Shanks states having spent too much time talking, but it's because he's meeting old friends he thought were dead. Shanks then gets up from the table and continues talking, allegedly asking Dory and Brogy for help so he doesn't cause too much damage to the island. An incredible double page allegedly shows that the red-hair pirates are drinking with the giants. Shanks gives Kid the choice of fighting against the red-hair pirates now or surrendering the road phonoglyph and leaving. Meanwhile, the Kid pirates are fighting other ships from Shanks' fleet in the seas near the island. Killer taunts Kid, reminding him that in their previous battle against the red-haired pirates, he couldn't even reach Shanks himself, but still lost an arm. Killer implies that Kid might lose his life if they fight this time. Kid snaps back and dismisses this by saying they can worry about that if they actually lose. Final chapter of 1076 shows Shanks walking towards the coastline as the other captains cheer for him. There was a lot to unpack in this week's One Piece, and Oda also announced a break for next week, for which fans can only hope that he compensates with a dope chapter for that. Now let's move forward to catch up with what happened to Caped Baldy in chapter 180 of One Punch Man. In previous chapters, we saw Tatsumaki engaged in a heated battle with Saitama in the Hero Association Center. Tatsumaki is concerned whether Saitama and Fubuki have any romantic feelings for each other. Chapter opens with Tatsumaki warning Saitama and telling to stay away from Fubuki. Saitama is pissed and just wants to go home. While Saitama brought Tatsumaki outside to prevent destruction, Tornado of Terror herself pushed the battle back into the cities, causing more destruction. Tatsumaki continues to blast Saitama away, and we cut back to Fubuki with the Blizzard Group at the Hero Association. Fubuki remembers Tatsumaki's warning to Blizzard Group, if none of you will cut ties, then I'll cut them for you. It's clear that Tatsumaki is determined now, and it's life-threatening. To save the lives of the Blizzard Group, she disbanded the group, saying that they were too weak and completely useless, and flew away from the scene. Elsewhere in End City, A-rank hero Feather was beaten up by a gang called Iron Fist. He has got himself into trouble trying to protect a woman who he assumed was going to be held hostage with the gang. Turns out that the woman was not a hostage and instead betrayed Feather. They had laid this trap for the hero to lure him into their hideout and can extract their revenge on him. Even while he was beaten up, he was much more concerned about the hostage Erica. Erica comes to see Feather and reveals how she was Iron Fist group leader Big Iron's woman. She tricked Feather into believing that she is a helpless woman, trembling in fear of the gang. She thanked Feather for being a model hero, but the latter wasn't able to see through her tricks. However, it was then shown that Erica did care for the hero, as she was crying while acting in front of Iron Fist, which is when the boss Big Iron offered his help to beat up Feather. As Feather got back up for his supposed final fight, in his own words, this would be the climax as a hero, Saitama, who was previously thrown into the air by Tatsumaki, came crashing onto the Iron Fist hideout, knocking down Feather in the process. Saitama soon is followed by Tatsumaki. Seeing a pro hero in front of them evoked a feeling of fear in the gang. Leader tries to fight, but is blown away by Saitama with one punch, and the rest of the gang is dealt by Tatsumaki as to continue their fight, leaving Feather and Erica behind, while latter one becomes the fan of S-Class hero. Cut to the H City, where a dragon-level threat was causing havoc. This is one of the biggest monsters we have seen in the series. The only hero that's nearby is Metal Bat, and he runs towards the monster to try and take it down. However, Saitama and Tatsumaki fly through the monster, taking it out in the process and destroying a couple of buildings. Tatsumaki continues to fly with Saitama, throwing him through buildings. This makes Saitama angry as he asks her why they came outside in the first place if she's going to keep destroying everything. Chapter ends with Metal Bat going home with Tama. Phew, that was a heck of a chapter, and we're getting to see Saitama every chapter, which was previously missing in the Monster Association arc. Jujutsu Kaisen has upped the game and is going towards a darker and dangerous tone, with Sukuna taking over Megumi's body. In the last two chapters, we get to see how strong Megumi's summons are. The chapter is titled Fearless Womb Part 6, likely refers to the ongoing battle between Sukuna and Yuji, which takes place in the womb-like environment created by the cursed womb. Chapter 214 begins immediately where the previous issue left off. Hana is in Sukuna's grasp. He deceives and bites Hana's hands off. He then throws her off a building with Yuji staring blankly at the rooftop from the ground below and watches helplessly as she falls. He then reaches the top of a building and jumps off, crushing the roof of the building. Sukuna is surprised to see Yuji doing fine after his powerful punch, and the fight between the two begins. Sukuna is puzzled by the strength Yuji is using. Yuji continues attacking, but Sukuna eventually begins countering and says, "Damn, Kenjaku sure is twisted," implying that he knows Yuji is Kenjaku's son. Yuji screams at Sukuna, "You, all of you, why can't you just live normally? Why can't you live without causing suffering?" To which Sukuna responds by using his cleave curse technique, cutting Yuji deep in his right shoulder. Sukuna continues to comment on why humans are so weak and cling to life despite this weakness. Sukuna says that weak creatures like humans should just chew on their own misery for their lives. This enrages Yuji, prompting him to suggest that Sukuna tries chewing on some misery for himself. Yuji then begins approaching Sukuna and continues despite the latter slashing his entire body with the cleave curse technique. It's here that Sukuna realizes something's wrong with him, with his fingers suddenly freezing as Yuji lands a punch. The chapter ends with Sukuna deducing that his cursed energy output has been declining due to Megumi's influence. influence. In Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 213, Sukuna specifically stated that he waited as long as he did to make Megumi his vessel because he didn't want Megumi to become a cage like Yuji. However, that plan has clearly backfired, given Megumi can clearly influence Sukuna's cursed energy output, and it took some time before Sukuna could notice. It proves that Megumi is strong and tactile enough to catch Sukuna by surprise. This could further create issues for the King of Curses in upcoming chapters, possibly afflicting his use of domain expansion and curse techniques. If Megumi is able to siphon or even fully shut off Sukuna's cursed energy output at a moment's notice, Sukuna becomes a much more manageable and much less intimidating foe. In this sense, the Megumi is almost a worse vessel for Sukuna than the Yuji Itadori. While Yuji was able to keep Sukuna fully contained for the most part, he was shown to lose control at varying points in the series. Furthermore, when Yuji lost control, Sukuna was able to take over. Yuji showed no signs of being able to fight back against Sukuna's control in any way whatsoever. Sukuna may have made a terrible decision for his future by switching bodies to that of Megumi. We also don't know about the condition of Hana. Her death is not confirmed yet. She could play a vital role in upcoming chapters, as we know she can exterminate any curse. All 3 chapters were amazing and left fans wanting more. We have theories regarding all 3 of them. If you want us to make a video on them, let us know and we'll do that. Until then, signing out, Aniverse.